So just as like a recap for what we're doing here today, this is all about, once again, there's so much stinking misinformation about this brokerage that's out there, which is why I wanted to put this together, right? Like there's people who are doing their best to try to disinform people out there about this company. There's three major topics that we're going to cover. Next week, I'm going to cover some more topics, but the internal networks of EXP, I want to cover that. So if you guys have some examples like, hey, I'm in this network and it's really helped me, and then some like common things that you hear from people, oh, it's, you know, it's a certain way. Let's talk about that. Two is going to be a couple of things about the fees, right? Let's keep it simple on that, just really straightforward. And then the stock, right? And we'll just cover those three topics. And if we can cover that today, then I think that people will walk away with a little bit of value and hopefully clear that up. Here's one that I hear a whole bunch about, like the groups inside. Does it matter who you join and if you join under any, is that a thing? So who wants to take that?
So I thank you for that question. So it does absolutely matter what group you join and who you're in business with. I have seen in my short time here, unfortunately, you know, a lot of agents, a lot of solo agents that are muddling around trying to figure this out because they aligned with the wrong group. And, you know, the group that we're in, the Honey Badgers, is probably, it's like I was telling somebody today, it's like being born again almost into the real estate business with all of this information coming at you from every direction. And, you know, and 30 million in Atlanta is, you know, that's probably, you're probably near the top of the tier there. It's not, you know, there's not too many $100 million producers in Atlanta. And now, like, we're low man on the totem pole. And it's like, I love it because we're surrounded by people that are doing 132 million and 300 million and plus. And so who you are aligned with absolutely matters 100%. I mean, I can't say it any better than that. It's incredible to be in line with these kind of people.
I want to touch base on that too, because again, that was one of the things that ultimately got us to move over. We were being recruited, I guess you could say, by other people. And I think at the time we couldn't see the value, right? We couldn't see, like, what is this person? What is the value that the person that's trying to bring us over is going to offer in terms of collaboration, right? They didn't have a similar model. They didn't understand how we work. As a team lead, I have to think of my team and then how my upline, my sponsor, was going to offer value to me to grow my team. And at the time, it didn't make sense. And it sucked that I had to think that that person was a reflection as a whole. It was just, you know, bad misrepresentation, honestly. All the questions that I asked at that interview or whatever recruiting session, they couldn't answer in terms of how we ran the business, how we ran our team. They couldn't really answer what my questions were. And then they kept throwing the stock thing at me, like, oh, you get stock and I get stock. And literally at that meeting, I went on my phone, I bought some stock just to, like, okay, I got stock, now what? Like, what else are you going to offer me? So I was kind of just irritated with the whole situation. But somebody that a colleague that we met, Kenny Fast, everybody knows him in this group. We noticed he moved his team and we were like, whoa, wait a minute. Like, what are we missing? What did we not hear that he heard? Because we admire him, we respect him. He runs a team similar to ours. What is going on? So literally we would have never got the answers that we wanted from the people that were originally trying to recruit us. And when we sat down with him and his upline, and we got a clear picture and we understood the direction and we understood the value that they were going to bring to help us grow, it was a no-brainer. I was like, where were y'all 3 years ago when I was buying stock at $11 and I didn't even know who this company was, and I did it as a joke, and here I am, you know? So 100% alignment and your sponsor, because we have people in EXP now, and it's unfortunate that in Texas, at least in Houston, years ago, there was a big exodus of people leaving and going to EXP, but they just had a bad reputation of just being recruiters. So that's where that came from. And what we've noticed is that there are people in EXP that kind of didn't think about this, right? They didn't consider their sponsor. They just Googled it or somebody told them and they did it. And when they have come to us and say, hey, can we join your team? They're already within in EXP. And we ask them, like, who's your sponsor? Sometimes they don't even know. They're like, I don't remember his name, or I don't remember. And it's unfortunate. So I think in the last 2 years is where things started shifting, and it started to become an important factor if you're going to make this move, like who's going to be in your group and your team and your mastermind. Basically, I see it as a mastermind that I would pay thousands of dollars to be in, and I get to have access to them all the time. So a collaboration is big in a sisterhood group like we have in our team. So, I mean, all our upline is all men, and I love them, and they're like my uncles. I always say, yeah, our uncles. But just in terms of business and the direction and growth, it's been so powerful to us, and we've been in with EXP for 6 months. So, sky's the limit.
So I think like people think like, oh my gosh, I don't want to make a mistake and join the wrong group or something like that. For us, it was us just saying to ourselves, like, I remember going on some events, and I used to be a part of Keller Williams, and I would go to like Mega Camp, and I would like meet some cool people, and I'd be like, oh, that's awesome, man, right? And like you'd wish, like, oh man, I wish my market center was just like just those people. Like that would be amazing. And that gets solved, right? Like that gets solved. You can actually solve that problem by being in that group. And the crazy cool thing is this is like guys would like help you at the market center, or you're helping. We got into the business where we were helping other people, but eventually like you're like, I have to go and sell, right? Because my time, I do need to get paid for this. If I'm going to be away from my wife and my child, like I need to get paid in order to do this. But because of the way that it's set up with the model, like John literally gets paid the better that we do. So he has no problem taking time out of his schedule, and him and Dan and Kyle and those kind of guys like helping us go. So that's pretty cool. I think for us, like it was so important to get out of those mindsets that we had locally and get into this group. And I love what Mike said, like I'm low man on the total poll when there's guys like doing 300 million plus here. So I think that's anyone else want to add to that? Yeah.
Dave, I was going to add to it because a lot of us came out of the KW system, and John and I were both TL, so we know the model pretty intimately. I think one of the big things that really gets forgotten is, in KW's model, it's just a different model. Your sponsor doesn't mean anything other than they get paid profit share. It means a lot at EXP because there aren't the brick and mortars that somebody goes and plugs into. The reason that I like that was because then I was on a mission to find the right sponsor and I've changed my term sponsor to collaboration partner. I was very mindful of who I was going to name as my sponsor because I saw how EXP was built, which also I think is the advantage because, and nothing against it, if I'm the smartest guy in the market center, I've got issues. That means I'm done growing. Like Mike said, I'm now the small fish in this big pond, which I love because now I've got all this knowledge around me. And so I think that little subtlety about naming, because, the majority that have a system like this is KW, sponsor really matters at EXP and who you're around, especially if you're ready to raise your production game.
I got something to say on that. Again, big fish or small fish in a big pond, it was the move up for me. And I was sick and tired of being the smartest person in the room. In my former brokerage, it was that way. I was the highest producer and everything else. Everybody kind of looked up to you, but I wasn't getting the support that I needed. Mm-hmm. And so I was a little reluctant going to EXP with the no broker idea and everything in the cloud. But finding the right sponsor, again, to kind of piggyback off what Stacy said, was key. And when I met and talked with my sponsor for the first time, the first question was, how are you going to grow your business? What do you need to do to take your business to the next level? And I knew right then and there I was in the right place because it was making me think, where are the next steps? And I said, well, geographic farming. Okay, well, I'm the master of that. Well, I said, hey, my video games needs to be a little bit better. I need to get better at video. Well, Kyle's your man for that. You want to do this? There's your guy for that. And everybody, anything you want in the business, you get to go to the best that there is. Yep. They're all there to help you because in turn, you're going to help them. And to me, that was just something I had never seen before. Typically, you're at a brokerage and, the head number one agent in the office, they got their door closed. They don't want you to hear them talking to somebody else.
That's how
they're not willing. They're not willing to help.
It's very competitive.
Yeah.
And here it's like, here's how I did it. Oh, you need help with it too? Let's jump on a Zoom call and I'll walk you through it. It's unbelievable, the collaboration that we have.
Yeah, I think that was like awesome. And Mark, you nailed it, man. I mean, it was like, okay, I need some systems that are better than my own. Just because you think you have good systems doesn't mean that you actually truly do have some excellent systems or the ones that you think. So you go to the guys or gals who do have those best systems out there. You relook at your stuff. And I was like, I thought my marketing was good and I'm way low on the totem pole, right? When it comes to the way that maybe John does some stuff out there, I'm like super impressed by that. So yeah, I think that's one of the major reasons that these internal networks, and I think that's how the real estate industry is truly changing. It's changing to go more along these lines because your production levels should have that sort of like attraction to it. I want to be better at this, so I track towards those and I spend time around that, right? All right, let's talk a little bit more. John, what do you got on internal network?
Same as what everybody else said, right? I didn't want to be the smartest guy in the room. I didn't want to be the one in charge of organizing the masterminds. I didn't want to be, right? I needed another rung up. So I needed someone to look to be able to help me get where I wanted to go. But I just wanted to kind of play devil's advocate and say that the flip side of this is as powerful as these networks are, as much value as we get from Honey Badger, Fast Forward, my alignment with Kyle and Dan and Chuck Fazio and Jay Kinder, access to the NAEA resources, all the stuff, right? I call all that stuff EXP Plus, and EXP Plus is incredibly valuable, right? She said it would be thousands and thousands of dollars, right? It's probably more than that. Yeah. And there's referrals there and there's such depth and such collaboration. Like that stuff is really important. And we talked to a lot of people before we made the decision about which group we wanted to align with. And all that said, you can get a 5-star incredible experience with EXP if you don't join the right group.
That's right.
If you plug in to what is available, like somebody jokingly said, the no broker idea, like I laughed, I love that. Like there are state broker teams for every state. There are passionate EXP employees that help every single agent with anything they need. You get a concierge that follows you for your first year. There are like Beth would kill me if I didn't say that anyone at EXP can succeed and thrive if they tap into everything that EXP offers, because it's not just these power players sharing with their internal network. It's also like David Brooke just got Icon, right? He won the Icon Award. He gets his entire cap back in stock. But guess what? He only gets his entire cap back in stock if he fulfills some cultural requirements.
That's right.
One of those cultural requirements is to give back and train the other agents. So when I was in a local market center in Southern California and I went to training, it was the smartest person in that room. Or maybe we brought a national speaker in and we had to pay thousands of dollars and charge tickets and everything else to get that person in the room. Well, every single person in the entire company gets access to David Brooks' teaching, because if he doesn't do that, he doesn't get his stock.
You got it.
So it is a genius model to tie everything together so that you're not just getting the smartest guy that happens to be in your local office and his perspective for 30 minutes once a year because he told the team leader that he would do that. You're getting powerhouse after powerhouse after powerhouse to give back and collaborate, whether you name them as your sponsor or not. So as powerful as these resources and these networks are, and they are very important, I would also argue that EXP just on its own is a phenomenal brokerage and probably better than what most people are getting where they are.
Yeah. And John, you touched on something that I definitely want to hammer in on here, and that's the admin team that's at EXP. So like there's a massive misinformation out there that's like, You're never going to get a hold of your broker. Like, you can't walk into their office. Like, wake up. You can't walk into their office right now, right? Most of them are at least in.
I text my broker and he will answer.
Yeah.
Like
Minutes.
Responsibly.
So like you could text them.
I don't just text the broker. I can text the CEO of the company.
Like through our workplace chat, like everything's available. You can find everybody.
Yep.
Not everybody. And if I want to talk to Glenn, half the time he's on Clubhouse.
Right.
Exactly.
I was going to say he's on Clubhouse. Half the time.
How cool is that?
Well, the funny thing is I hear all the time, because I keep telling everybody, and my good buddy Ray had really laid this out well for me. It's like everybody's expecting the old regurgitation of the same traditional real estate box. EXP is a whole new box. So they can't get their head wrapped around when I say we have no offices. Like, well, how do you operate without a broker? I'm like, there's still a broker there in the world. And I love it because I'll just pop into World or through workplace chat or whatever. And Blaine, who's one of our two brokers, man, that guy is awesome. Always answers my calls. He's got me in his phone now. So the broker sport's there for sure. It's such a new model that people can't get their head wrapped around, that I guess it's a broker ferry in the sky. So.
I mean, I will say that EXP, I mean, we've only been with them for 6 months, and I know they've grown in the last few years. So I did have an agent on my team that had been with another team with EXP 3 years ago, and she wasn't happy that we were moving. And I assured her that whatever issues she had before, she was going to have a different experience. And the admin team, we have, go-to people when it comes to, sky slope and CDAs or issue with, situations that we have a structure. But yeah, I mean, we've been able to get all our questions answered with our broker or anybody on the EXP team any time of the day. And I mean, like even on the weekends. So I don't know how they're scheduled or how they're structured, but we get answered. So
I do. So what happens if you do any studies on workplace work and flexible work schedules and all of the things that EXP implements take productivity to new heights. And so rather than fight that and say, hey, you got to come in at 8 a.m. and open up the front door and make the coffee and sit there for 4 hours while no agents come into the office so you can have the most boring front desk job ever. Instead of that, they say, hey, here are the tasks, here's the responsibilities, and you get to work from home in your pajamas. And all we want to do is make sure that you are the most 5-star amazing person to support our agents as possible. And then guess what happens? Agents are able to spend a little time with their kids or do whatever they need to do while they're supporting. Because a lot of the people who work for EXP are also real estate agents. And so they understand the needs of real estate agents, right? Because we hire internally a lot. And
I was going to say they do hire internally because they're always putting out their opportunities and you share them. And it's keeping it in the family, basically. So
and almost every agent I met, all the way up to Glenn, we're all in the real estate business. So it's truly a company built by real estate agents. Everybody I talked to on the support staff, they're all, I'm a former real estate agent. It's crazy. It's awesome.
And don't forget EXP World. That really is, on demand if you need it. That's usually my last resort because I have everybody's cell phone numbers. So I always tell them, like, you'll be hearing from me probably 8 times a week. But if I can't get a hold of anybody and I need something, I can jump into EXP World and it's like, got an answer right there.
The cool thing too, Glenn's like on Clubhouse, Glenn was I love it. He's a very transparent person. He said when they went through that massive growth spate, it was a little rough on onboarding, but man, they've got their game down and the support staff is friggin' amazing. Like I can't say enough about it. I think to John's point, I think a lot of people it's hard until you're actually in it, especially whether you like jumping in the EXP world or not. It's like if I need to go ask somebody about a commission check, man, I pop right in there and boom, I'm talking to somebody about it. And I guess people aren't realizing, like John said, they're probably sitting at home with their laptop up, right? Providing 5-star customer service to us agents. And we're in the microwave generation. If I want to know when my commission check's getting deposited, I don't have to wait in my own brokerage with the door shut, right? Or they're at training. They've got a staff built worldwide that I don't have to wait. They're going to go, yep, Stacy, hey, got it. Boom, commission, be direct deposit tomorrow. I'm like, boom, awesome. So that's hard to get your head wrapped around because it is such a new box.
And they're willing to grow. They accept feedback all the time. I've always liked to see how we can make things better. And so I'm always offering things how we did it before, and or how we had it done, and is there a way to implement that? And they're always welcome to like listen to the feedback and like what can we do to make things better for whoever's asking. So I like that as well.
Well, they use a net promoter score, which is like one of the most important things you can do to develop a 5-star team these days. And they survey every single transaction. They survey every single interaction. EXP is obsessed with making sure that there aren't things that are shortcoming. And if they are, they at least survey. Like a lot of times people want to put their hand over their ears and be like, la, 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 everything's perfect. But EXP knows that they're a work in progress, and they're constantly innovating to continue to meet the agent's expectations.
Yeah, I think that's one of the cool things that we really liked as well is like for us, like everyone might have like a mission or a tagline or something like that. We have both ours as our tagline and our mission, which is demand excellence. Like I want excellence out of every one of my transactions. And I've noticed that about EXP. They're constantly looking to improve. And it's not like, there's not an excuse every time, right? There may be like, okay, this is what's going on. We're onboarding a lot of people, or we're helping a lot of people. But they are seriously, they listen. We told them, hey, listen, we're getting a lot of transactions here. We're worried like, hey, is there going to be enough admin? They're like, boom, something went out and they hired 2 more people. It was just amazing how they responded to it.
We had an issue. I want to bring this up because we had an issue because we have agents in other states. And I know we're not the only team lead that has agents in other states. But for whatever reason, we handle all the SkySlope transactions. Agents don't do that. Our assistant handles that. And we weren't able to upload because we're in Texas. We have a California agent. We have a New Orleans agent. New Orleans is like their own Wild West over there. They do whatever the heck they want. And I mean, we had some hurdles. I'm like, I already hired a New Orleans agent. I already have marketing spend on them. Somebody help me. And they had all hands on deck, like making things happen, telling us what we need to do. So, I mean, it literally is solutions as you go if you need that happening. And now we have it to where we can see all the requirements for each state that we have agents in because we didn't have that before. So they're proactive and reactive as well.
I asked Dave Kennord's team when I was out, I forgot where we're at, Vegas or wherever it was last, and they actually have a heat map for all the various states. They see growing, they're going to be being proactive and making sure they have enough support staff to hire as we grow. And everybody knows we've been growing at a pretty good clip. Because that was my concern. It's like, listen, I love it and everybody else is loving it and they're all coming. Are we going to be able to support the growth? And it was great to hear that they actually use the heat map to be able to hire to that, is my understanding.
I think it's awesome. Hey guys, I want to make sure that we shift real quick and cover a couple of more things because we're only 35 minutes in. So let's make sure we get some stuff so people can actually digest this. Fees, a lot of times people are asking about those fees. They're like, hey, what kind of is this? Dan said this really good in a presentation the other day. He's like, hey, listen, when people want to talk about the difference of like $5,000 here and there, like, I don't know if we're talking about the same thing here because the value is way different. But let's just get it down so people can understand a little bit about this. So when you're at EXP, it's a $16,000 cap on an 80-20 split. Okay, so it's a $16,000 cap on an 80-20 split. If you are with a team, your team has the opportunity to have team agents at an $8,000 split. Or cap, excuse me, I should say. And then if you're a mega icon team, you have the opportunity to have a $4,000 cap. Okay, there is
as a team agent.
David, what if you're best friends with the broker? Can you get a better split?
Actually, no.
what if you're like a mega team and like you're David Brook, you sell all of Connecticut? Can you get a special deal? Are there any sweetheart? Can you waive my fees? Can David get like this special deal that nobody else can get?
Nope. That I was shocked. Remember, John? I was like, John, for real. Like, I remember sitting on that call with John. I'm like, but John, like, let's make. And he was like, no, like, there's no deal. And that's actually something that's really cool because you kind of see these sweetheart deals getting made here and there, and there's this like crazy favoritism that I see happen at brokerages. You know what it's like. Oh, that one person gets favorited all the time, and it's just like it destroys culture. They can promote culture as much as they want, but it just destroys it. So no, that's not the case. There's broker review fees. Okay, so that's a $25 and then a risk assessment fee of $40. So that's on your transactions as well. So it's about $60 that comes out.
Yep. Now that 40 cap, once you've paid in 500, it caps.
That's right. That's right. Anyone else want to bring something to the table? Because a lot of guys, they get down to this, they're like, all right, let's just talk a little bit about this. I want to run some spreadsheets in the background. There is a cap to those fees at $5,000. Yep. Johnny.
Well, what you said, Dan said a little while ago, and he said it a bunch of times. If you're sweating $5,000, there's a bigger issue that you're dealing with, and that is your closed-minded thinking. You should be always thinking about growing and growing production. And it's kind of like when I joined another brokerage before this one, it was the 18.5 cap or $18,000 cap, and I was like, oh God, how am I going to do that? And then I switched the way I thought, and then pretty soon I just forgot all about it. And it's the same thing coming in with EXP. By the way, it is lower than most brokerages at $16,000, but the focus should be more on the production side of things and getting your production up, and you're not even worried about that. And at the end of the day, if you get the icon status, which you should, you're going to get that back in stock as well. So it's
we've got a question in the chat. Somebody wants to explain the cap a little more. So that means that EXP will no longer take a percentage of your commission after the 20% that they take out for every transaction that you complete out of that gross commission. That reaches the cap of $16,000. When that happens, if you're on an icon track, you get $12,000 of that back as a stock award. Okay? As a stock award. So hopefully that answers the question for those who are in here. Anything else on fees? I mean, I think for us, I don't know about where you guys are, was for me, we do have to pay for our own sign installs and sign downs. It costs about $30, right? So that helps.
Yep.
Thank you in the chat. See that you got your question answered. Anyone else have any other fees that they realized?
No, I just wanted to add in, there's really two types of people in regards to fees. There's agents that are working to become a capper, and then there's agents that are going to be cappers and beyond. If you're an agent working to become a capper, you have to look at the expenses that you're going to be paying relative to the value you're going to be receiving. So if you join an amazing group and you plug in and you have an incredible sponsor and you have a great mentor and you have all these other resources and everything else, you should be receiving in excess, right, multiples of the amount that you're spending in costs and fees. Those are the people that the $500 or the $5,000 matters towards, right? Non-cappers, people who are aspirational, who want to break out and become a successful real estate agent. The second group of people are who we mostly talk to, which are agents that are already successful, that are going to be cappers. And for that group of agents, I would say that no one who is a capper or